I'm Carissa of Carissa Browning Designs, and all the places that you can find me should be linked in the description box below. Welcome to my little corner of the internet where you will find knitting and crochet patterns and tutorials, and maybe soon even more long form videos like this one. So you clicked on the thumbnail, you already know what's up, you know what we're doing today. We will be reorganizing my yarn stash. Earlier this year, my husband and I and our 2 dogs moved abroad. We relocated from the United States to the Netherlands. And now that we have finally gotten our shipping container with all of our stuff in it, I need to get my stash back to a functional state where I can find what I need when I need it. Now, mind you, it is all meticulously cataloged digitally because that's how my brain works. But right now it's all in these cardboard boxes and tote bags behind me. So even though I know exactly what I have, if I were looking for a specific skein, there would have to be a literal stash dive to find it. And that's not the vibe I'm going for here. So today we're going to be pulling it all out of these boxes and sorting it into some clear plastic bins that I bought so that I can see what's where. Now before we get started, I want to say this is a judgment-free zone. I do not feel guilty about the size of my yarn stash, and neither should you. I'm a designer. This is my job. I have a lot of yarn, like a lot of yarn. In fact, if you want to take a guess as to how much yarn I have, how many yards, skeins, grams, throw it in the comments and I will tell you at the end of this video and we'll see if anybody got close. So without further ado, grab yourself a cup of something cozy and let's get started sorting. And I'll try to explain my process along the way. Before leaving the States, I packed up all my yarn in these giant moving boxes, lined with huge, heavy-duty plastic bags to protect it all from moisture and moths during transit. We lived in a relatively dry climate where moths weren't really a big concern, so I was able to keep my yarn out in baskets and open shelves. My new environment, however, is much more humid, and due to limited space in my studio, the yarn will have to be stored in the attic where airflow is not optimal. Hence my elevated paranoia about moths. So I've acquired several of these plastic bins, which should be airtight. There's a rubber gasket all the way around the lid and several clamps to securely fasten it closed. I'll put a link in the description for where you can buy these. I will also be tossing some silica gel packets in each bin to combat moisture, as well as a lavender sachet and cedar block as moth repellents. How you decide to sort your yarns will vary based on how you use your stash, of course. I started by separating out sweater quantities. As the category name would imply, these are yarns where I have enough yardage to make a sweater, regardless of weight, fiber, or color. I like to keep sets of yarn in these clear plastic zipper bags that you get when you buy a new set of sheets. But as you will see, I did not have enough of them for all of my sweater quantities of yarn. There was really no rhyme or reason as to which yarns went into which bin. It was mostly just a game of Tetris. Whenever I could, I tried to stand the skeins up on end so they will all be visible when I open the lid. Unfortunately, with some skeins that had already been caked up or came in more of a ball or donut form to begin with, that just wasn't possible. The second category is highly specific, and you likely won't have this in your stash. It's rainbows. Oodles and oodles of rainbows. I love bright, saturated colors, particularly if they are presented in an orderly spectrum, as they are in these mini skeins. Stockpiling rainbows is how I coped with the stress of 2020. I have zero regrets about that choice. But wait, there's more. That was just my rainbow mini skein sets. I also had a few full skein sets, which I combined in a bin with the speckled and variegated rainbows too. And that's not all. The fourth and final rainbow bin got the gradients, followed by a piece of sturdy cardboard I cut to size as a divider, with the self-striping rainbows on the other half. Next we have my hand-spun yarn. I started out on my spinning journey at the beginning of 2023 and have since amassed a collection which I think really illustrates my progress as a spinner. At least it would if I were to sort this bin chronologically. I take immense pleasure in incorporating my hand-spun into projects, and I have vowed to use every last skein in this bin, even the less than ideal overspun rope I was making at the start. And wouldn't you know it, there were more rainbows in here too. Now, the vast majority of my stash is wool and other animal fibers, so next I pulled out everything that wasn't. Here we have the cottons and cotton blends on one side of this bin, while the other half was filled with linen, bamboo, and silk blends, which I had to lay down because they are just too drapey to stand upright. And after filming, I also tossed in the very few skeins of acrylic that I keep on hand for teaching demonstrations. Just as my stash consists mainly of wool, a significant subset of the wool is fingering weight. So I decided to divide everything that was not sock weight into their various size categories. I first roughly sorted things into a bulky pile on the far left, worsted and Aran in the first bin, DK in the middle, sport weight in the other bin, and lace weight on the right. Once I had a better idea of the overall volume of each weight of yarn, I decided to combine everything from DK or thicker into the left-hand bin, and all of the sport weight or smaller stuff went in the right-hand bin. The next day, it was time to tackle the sock yarn. I started with the warmer tones, so your red purples, pinks, reds, oranges, and yellows went in this bin. And as you probably guessed, the cooler tones filled the next bin, starting with greens, teals, blues, and then the rest of the purples. neutrals went into the third bin, along with multicolored and self-striping yarns that I couldn't really categorize into one particular color family. And finally, we had the scraps. I'd like to go back and sort these into Ziploc bags for each color at a later date, just to make future scrappy projects go more smoothly. On top, I added miscellaneous mini skeins and some Ziplocs of leftovers from specific projects where all the yarn was the same base, so I wanted to keep them together. With all the sorting finally done, I wanted to create a label for each bin. I made a large label and inserted that on the long side of each bin. Then I also made a smaller label and inserted that at the short end. That way I'll be able to see what's where, regardless of how they end up stacked in the attic. Don't forget the silica gel, the cedar, and the lavender. So there we have it. From 4 giant moving boxes and a few tote bags to 15 plastic bins, all sorted and labeled. All that's left to do now is carry them up to the attic. Oh, maybe tomorrow. But thank you for joining me on this little adventure. Before we talk about the numbers, I want to give you one more opportunity to put your guess in the comments below. How much yarn do you think is in these bins behind me? While you're there, please feel free to give this video a like. You can even subscribe to my channel if you want. The more that you engage with this video, the more that the algorithm will recommend it to others, and we can all share in the yarny love. So, the moment you've been waiting for, grand total is 285,546 yards, which works out to 162 miles. Or in metric, that is 261,103 meters, or 261 kilometers. If we're talking about weight, I have 76,826 grams, which would be 76.8 kilograms, or 2,710 ounces, which works out to 169 pounds of yarn. I guess it's time to get to stitching. So thank you again for watching this video. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back in another video soon. Bye.